We were discussing in the opening session, this is a thunderbolt meditation, to say that the Shaktipat is very intensely present in a wrathful form, arising as this thunderbolt of centrifugal dispersion, awakening itself. And then using this image of the thunderbolt, it is very useful to think of yourself, your mind, body, being as a lightning rod. In the way we are assembled, in the three relative bodies, body, speech, and mind, physical, energy, and causal. There is a stream of consciousness that flows through the center of being. It is a threefold stream. I oftentimes refer to them as the three rivers. They are on the right side of the body, a fiber of consciousness that is called Pingala. It is white in color and flows from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. On the left side of the body, a fiber called Ida, which is red in color, flows from a space subtly beneath the base of the spine to the crown of the head. And in the center is a fiber called Sushumna. It is the most subtle of the three and conducts the most profound form of consciousness perfectly. When we do the Guru Yoga, this fiber, the Sushumna, Ida, and Pingala structure, are referred to flowing from the base of the spine to the crown of the head as a diamond scepter. And in this case, I'm referring to it as a lightning rod. It's going up from the base of the spine up through the center of the body and terminating at the crown of the head. And just as a lightning rod will attract thunderbolt and perfectly draw it down and through, this is what the Sushumna, Ida, and Pingala is capable of doing. The Shaktipat is taking the form of this thunderbolt, this seed of wrathful centrifugal dispersion is Shaktipat. The word Shaktipat, by the way, translates as descent of grace. It's characterized as an energy that comes from the higher planes and moves into the lower planes, where the physical and subtle physical and mental bodies are present. So I want you to imagine this perfect diamond scepter, this lightning rod going through the center of your body, base of the spine to the crown of the head. And as the meditations develop, I want you to use what is in meditation is called the bellows breath. It's called the bellows breath because the breathing process is reduced to the process of a bellows. And if you have a bellows, when you want to charge a bellows full of air, you expand it. When you want to discharge a bellows and push the air out, you compress it. And in the bellows breath, you treat your breathing process like a bellows. controlled at the solar plexus, the solar center. When you want to breathe in, you expand the diaphragm, expand the solar plexus. And you'll find this very powerful breath will fill your being. But commingled with the breath will be the energy of the thunderbolt. It will strike the vitality of your breath and the underlying vitality of the prana, the life force. And it will be just as if when you breathe in, in the way that the breath goes in and descends, the life force and the energy of the thunderbolt also descends. And when you breathe out, you compress the diaphragm, the solar plexus, pushing the air out. And when you breathe out, you'll find that the breath rises and expands. At the same time, this vitality of the thunderbolt will rise up through the center of the body and strike the crown of the head and go into the space over the crown of the head. Now, this quality of breath, the inward breath, in the human form is said by the wise to have a sound, a spontaneous sound, an unstruck or spontaneously arising mantra. And that syllable, that mantra is so. So when the inward breath occurs, we expand the solar center. The thunderbolt strikes and descends. The syllable so in the human form is placed at the base of the spine. So you'll experience this very powerful descending Shakti, this very powerful descending energy. In an instant, the thunderbolt will descend through the center, conduct itself along the thunderbolt, the lightning rod of the Sushumna, and strike the syllable so. In breathing outward, compress the solar center, pushing the breath out. And this way the thunderbolt will assemble and the so will rise up the Sushumna and come to the crown of the thunderbolt, the crown of the lightning rod at the crown of the head. In the human form, the syllable hum is seated at the crown of the head. So in the rising breath, breathing outward, the sound of that syllable is hum, and the thunderbolt will rise and strike the crown of the head and fill the expansive space over the crown of the head. This mantra is spontaneously arising. It's not so like you have to say the mantra over and over again in your mind, like some mantras. The very process of the inward and outward breath produces the sound of the mantra as it moves in the Sushumna. So rather than stating it so much, you listen for it. Now the seat of the so and hum are spontaneously present. It's just like the placement of your eyes, the placement of your ears, the placement of your nose. It's there. You don't have to imagine it or create it or project it or visualize it. It's spontaneously present. this dynamic of the movement of the awakening particle and its nature of centrifugal dispersion very perfectly conducts itself along this central nerve of Sushumna. You'll find that if you understand this principle of the thunderbolt and this idea of the Sushumna that conducts the energy, and as you spontaneously cycle the bellows breath, you'll find an extraordinary amount of energy building in the system, conducting itself along the Sushumna, the central nerve, and manifesting in all of the seats along Sushumna, and most especially resonating at the base of the spine, at the crown of the head. It's also useful to understand this spiritual center at the seat of the heart, as the Soham descends and ascends with the breath, and the thunderbolt is more deeply absorbed. The center at the heart is exactly at the halfway point between the crown of the head and the base of the spine. There are 6 chakras in the relative bodies of body, speech, and mind, the physical, subtle physical, and causal body. At the base of the spine, at the region of the loins and the pelvis, at the navel, the heart, the throat, at the forehead. At the crown of the head, all of the fibers turn into a bundle that stream into the space over the crown of the head, Sushumna, into a 7th chakra called Sahasrara, the root chakra. In the 1st chakra, at the very base of the spine, and it's just somewhat below the base of the spine, the seat of the Kundalini. As the thunderbolt is conducted along the Sushumna, the Kundalini will be aroused very extraordinarily. And with the constant repetition of the So-Hum breath, this is one of the reasons why that breath is called the bellows breath as well, because it acts like a bellows. When you squeeze a bellows onto a fire, with every cycle of the bellows, it amplifies the heat of the fire. In the same way, the effect of the understanding of the breath and the So-Hum conducting itself in the 3 rivers in the central nerve. The spiritual force of the awakening thunderbolt will be amplified over and over and over, geometrically so. This is a description and a tip for this kind of meditation when you are dealing with the energy in this way. It is very useful to put these 3 simple principles together. Your meditation will become much intensified, much more deeply and profoundly.